These boats are flying towards each other at 100 kilometers per hour without brakes. Hi, I'm Lisa Mannon, Olympic silver medalist, and I'm going to break down one of the most important concepts in high-speed racing: right of way. It's the rule that keeps the boats apart until it doesn't. Because when teams get it wrong, especially with tall boats on the racetrack, things can get seriously chaotic. Let's dive in. Rule 1, port versus starboard. Who has the right of way? When two boats are crossing, who goes first? It's just like a roundabout or a stop sign, except both vehicles are doing 80 km per hour and the closing speed is 160 km per hour. And it all comes down to athlete judgment. The rule is starboard, the boat that has the wind hitting its right-hand side, has the right of way.
Right of way with Spain, indicated by that green circle.
As you can see here, Australia has right of way over Emirates Great Britain, as the wind is coming from this direction and hitting the right-hand side of their boat, and GBR's left. In SailGP, these calls have to happen fast. That's why strategists on board run across the boat to check for crossing situations. But even with the best athletes in the world, mistakes still happen. Here, Australia had right of way as the starboard boat, but the USA didn't spot them. The Americans had to do an emergency tack, and Australia still had to avoid. If there was contact, it's not just damage that hurts the team's chances, but both teams could be penalised if the powers that be believe they didn't do enough to avoid a crash. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but luckily for fans, SailGP broadcasts make it easy. Just look for the green circle, which means right of way, and the red circle, meaning give way.
For Australia here, they've got to keep clear of New Zealand.
So how do boats avoid disaster in this situation? There are 3 ways to safely handle a right of way when coming together. Let me show you how. First, there's cross ahead. It's a bold move if you think you can make it. Teams have to be confident they're going to get across the other boat. Get it right and you consolidate again. But if you get it wrong, it could be a penalty from the umpires.
Penalty, Italy, relative France, port attack boat not keeping clear.
Then there's the dip behind. It's the safer option, but it's an art in and of itself. Time it well and you don't lose too much. Time it late and you give your rival a huge lead. Finally, there's tack early. You won't see this too often with how competitive these athletes are, but this is where a team wants to avoid a crossing before it even happens.
My word, this is so tight.
Now let's look at what happens when a right-of-way situation doesn't go to plan. This moment shows exactly why right-of-way decisions need to be made early.
There's been an incident between Germany and Brazil on the racecourse, but there's damage to the Brazilian boat.
Eric Heil didn't quite make his mind up in time, and it cost his team everything. This is where the most experienced teams stand out. They've seen these situations before, they can read the closing speeds, and they know when to commit or when to bail. It's not just about the rules, it's about instinct, timing, and trust in the call. Rule 2, Windward versus leeward. Who gets to hold their lane? Now imagine 2 boats heading in the same direction, flying side by side. Who gets to push the other off their line? It all comes down to who's closer to the wind. The leeward boat, the one further from the wind, has right of way. They're allowed to hold their lane, defend their position, and even push the windward boat out of the way with a move we call a luff. It's like forcing your opponent to slam on the brakes and their boat becomes unstable.
Nothing. Tell what you want. Nothing. Tell what you want. Nice work, guys.
The windward boat, the boat closer to the wind, must keep clear. They have to either slow down, steer away, or risk a penalty. In the worst case scenario, we see boats fly up high and slam into the water in a nosedive. Think of it like trying to squeeze your way to the front of a concert. You've got your elbows out, holding your ground. That's the leeward boat. The one beside you has to move or get muscled out. This rule becomes absolutely critical in the pre-start, the race to Mark 1, and the dash to the finish. That's why we typically see boats going in the exact same direction, and teams weaponize this rule to get an advantage when it matters most. Let's take a look at how this is played out in racing. Here, the Kiwis took the inside line at the final mark. This gave them the leeward position with the wind coming from the Aussie side. With them both fighting to win the race, it was a perfect time to weaponise the leeward rule. The Kiwis forced Australia to move out of their way, and that makes the Aussies unstable, which at 90 kilometres per hour is not for the faint-hearted, and they slam into the water, letting New Zealand take the win. The Aussies' mistake was letting the Kiwis take that inside line at the mark, giving them the leeward position. If they could have forced New Zealand wide, they would have won it. This shows how tactical and ruthless these no-contact rules can be. Alright, that's already a lot to process, right? Now let's take it up another level. Rule 3 is mark room. Who gets the inside line? At each turning mark, if boats are arriving at the same time, the question is, who gets room to round? At SailGP's gate marks, boats can choose to turn left or right, but if multiple boats arrive at once, only one gets the inside line.
And here's where the traffic jam starts.
Just like F1 drivers fighting for the apex, positioning is everything.
Oh, Berlin gets pushed wide.
If you don't give enough room or you push your way in without rights, expect a penalty. Or worse, contact.
Germany must keep clear. Whoa!
So how exactly do you know who gets room at the mark? Look for that yellow circle on the broadcast. That's a 3-boat length zone. Once the first boat enters that circle, mark room rules kick in, and everything changes. The key thing is when the first boat hits the circle, the overlap is determined, and whether or not the inside boat has rights to round as they wish. Now, what is overlap? We use the back of the outside boat to judge it. If any part of the inside boat is ahead of the back of the outside boat, the inside boat is what we call overlapped. And they get room to round. But if there's no overlap, no matter how aggressive the inside boat is, they've got no rights to get past. So in SailGP, even if you're on starboard, if someone's overlapped inside you, you've got to give them space to do the tack and get around the mark. This rule makes the gate marks one of the most tactical, high-stake moments in SailGP.
It is Rockwool Denmark full Viking mode.
Get mark room and you round tight with the advantage. Miss it, you give your rival an upper hand. So what have we learned? There are 3 essential rules of racing. Port versus starboard, the right of way when teams cross as they make their way around the course. Windward versus leeward, the right of way as teams fight it out in a straight line. And finally, mark room, the right of way when teams come together, rounding the yellow gate marks. The top teams don't just sail fast, they make smart calls under pressure, weaponizing the rulebook to position themselves in ways that give them the advantage. It's about judgment, aggression at the right moment, and ice-cold decision-making, all while flying at 100 kilometers per hour. If you nail it, you gain big. If you hesitate, you are history.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Make sure you subscribe to SailGP's YouTube channel for the most exciting race on water.